website, GameDayGold.com. All sorts of great blogs, photos. You can hear the podcast of this show, previous weeks, GameDayGold.com. Larry, the Twins are doing so well. We just did an entire segment to open the show. It's late August, almost September, and we did not mention the Minnesota Vikings. So kudos to the Twins for garnering some headlines.
Well, that's because the Vikings lost. They played Seattle. They lost 20-13 and didn't make a real good showing of themselves. And I was really, honestly, surprised at a couple of things that I saw in the game. Particularly on the defensive side of the ball, the inability to stop the run. And, I know Seattle played, a lot of their starters for the entire first half, but they're throwing more pressure on the Vikings this season than any season that I can remember since Dennis Green was here. When you know you've got Super Bowl 52 in your house, and you've got a football team that you believe is pretty good, and you've thrown $100 million at three guys in terms of guaranteed money on your defense, and you have an offense that's, you believe that, North Turner's gone, that you've got Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray, these new additions in the backfield, and Adrian Wu, we're going to be fine. There's a lot of pressure on this football team.
Right. And you touched on it in previous weeks, but you go back to 2011, trips for the franchise in roughly a 15-year span, so that's about once every 3 years. Brad Childress had a triple. He went to the NFC title game in 2010. They got knocked out by New Orleans in overtime. Leslie Frazier had one playoff appearance, and Mike Zimmer has one on his resume. So they need to get back to where they used to be, and that's a consistent playoff team that's in the mix. It's talked about as a Super Bowl team. And I don't know what will happen. But this guy, came in Seattle. He was a humdrum preseason game, but Wall Rush made it interesting. Boy, he was motivated. A couple of 52-yard up on the Vikings segment. Preseason was time for that, Roy, because Wall Rush has his mojo back and all that. He appears to be happy in Seattle. Start doing that when you win regular season games up front. Look, I think the game when you both games in maybe preseason, and I know we talked about being able to pick up a ticket, more for $8 and $10 and all that stuff. But somebody paying for this thing. But the bottom line, for him would have to be really big, because the way the Vikings got involved, the way he battled that season, the ultimate playoff kick against Seattle, and then to have a job with Seattle, I think it was really big for him. I heard the Vikings were telling him also. Yeah, well, I think that's what he said. That was a response to what he heard from the Minnesota Vikings. But looks back and that. And there's no question we're talented field goal kickers and people are flying. I've got to look. Clear skies tonight for we'll see some areas of fog developing. Look for a low of 47 degrees with light and variable wind. Saturday, sunny skies. A couple of stray showers popping up late in the afternoon, but most of the area stays dry. With a high temperature of 68. A better chance of showers on Sunday. A few bubbles of thunder as well. With a high temperature of 67. Monday, we'll see a couple of showers with a high of 72. Tuesday, partly sunny skies with a high temperature of 76. I'm in Arlington, weather for WOCO Radio. Wisconsin Radio Network News, I'm Brad Hay. Personal protection, the focus of a National Rifle Association event in Milwaukee this weekend. The NRA's first ever Carry Guard Expo. The organization's Jason Brown says it offers seminars on personal protection, concealed carry, and defense tactics. It's not really a gun show or a gear show, it's a lifestyle show. Anti-violence groups have plans to protest. Community organizer Sam Alford is among them. Our question is case over protesters say they object to the fact that convention goers will be able to buy carry guard insurance. Critics call that murder insurance.
Police Chief Mike Koval says that efforts to remove more criminals from the city's streets amid increasing gun violence is proving successful. Koval telling the Wisconsin State Journal in the first 2 weeks of the initiative, fueled by overtime pay, close to 30 people have been taken into custody. Several criminals have left the city, and there have been no homicides and fewer serious shots-ground incidents. State auditors have found care provided at the State Veterans Home in Keene is better than the average skilled nursing facility in Wisconsin.
Staff is doing a great job.
I'm sure they're both stressed because of the difficulty of finding CNAs. The top problem is to us, the nursing home industry. But overall, it appears that both sides pretty different. Republican State Senator Rob Cruz co-chairs the legislature's Joint Audit Committee, Wisconsin Radio Network.
Without an epic light show. The crowd loved us. We love the crowd. Hey, we got four faces. We're later than us. The fight of an hour. And we're fireworks. That was our script, which never seen Florida talk like this before. And man, healthy Florida with us. And we're going to be out here every night, rocking out our light show at a forest near you. So come check us out. And bring your kid. We're ages show. Those glass jars, they make us kind of nervous. Whether you're American neighbor or American Europe, my memory is never fade. Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you and discover other cool things to do when you go, like fishing, hiking, or even camping. Visit discovertheforest.org. See you later! Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Company.
Wisconsin Radio Network, a Madison police officer back on duty following a drunk driving arrest.
Kelly Heft had a blood alcohol level more than 3 times above the legal limit when she was pulled over more than 2 months ago. Heft faces criminal charges because there was a 5-year-old child in her vehicle at the time. Heft took a personal leave after her arrest and has since returned to patrol.
In Madison, Terry Bell, Wisconsin Radio Network. The last game of the Milwaukee Bucks arena put into place Thursday to the cheers of Bucks executives, construction workers, and Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barris.
This is when I remember, I think this is when I said that to the workers here. Every worker here is going to remember this, and they're going to play with Corinthians. They were part of building the future of this city.
The next milestone for the Bucks arena will be in November when the exterior should be completed and work will then begin on the interior. There's more Wisconsin news on the web. We're at WRN.com. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. Wisconsin Radio Network.
Cattle futures were mixed on Friday. Hogs, corn, and soybeans finished low. Unshine programs with a brownfield pickup gain. Higher population, higher performance, and higher yields. HP corn maximizes upper inch above acre. Choose Stein HP corn because Stein has yield. Soybeans are down modestly Friday on profit taking. Crop weather in August is generally good in many key West growing areas, and the trade does expect a big crop at this point. Losses were limited by solid demand. China bought new crop U.S. beans Friday, and Thailand purchased new crop bean meal. September is down 2 1/4 at 9.39. November soybeans are 2 lower at 9.44 1/2. September bean meal is down 120 at 296.40, and September bean oil is 17 cents lower at 34.61. Corn is modestly lower, making new lows for the move, watching the weather and any potential impact from Hurricane Harvey. Recent crop tour numbers have been mixed when compared to recent USDA estimates. September is down 3 1/4 at 338 3/4. December is turned 3/4 lower at 3 1/2. And the wheat is mixed, failing to follow through in some early gains. Wheat has seen new buying interest near those recent lows, but the fundamentals are bearish, limiting grain upside. September Chicago was a half higher at 409.5. September Kansas City was 1 lower at 404.5. September Minneapolis held at 650.5. Live and feeder cattle were mostly higher and spread trading short covering out of USDA's cattle on feeder report, which looks neutral to maybe a little bit friendly. August mag held at 105.95. October was up 1 at 106.92. August feeders were down 22 at 141.37. September was up 75 at 142.92. And hogs were down on the steady to lower crash and lower moving pork. October was 70 lower at 63.07. December Maine was down 30 cents at 68.95. I'll be back after this break with your look at the cash livestock markets on Friday.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Cat, Tap, tap, boop, boop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to her. Last week she asked about a Chinese, and guess what? That girl showed up. Like magic. Humans have cold toys. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adapt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetMagic.org.
Hey, let's listen now. I know how important exercise is. For 2016, United Way in the NFL helped them take a state back and play at least 69 steps. But what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60 because great things happen when we live united. You guys can do it every time? Brought to you by Mighty White and the By Friday afternoon, direct cash cattle markets pretty much remained at a standstill, with asking prices for what was left on the show list at 108 live and 173 to 175 dressed. Each are reported at 105 live and 107 dressed. Choice box beef is down 43 at 191.32. Select is 36 lower at 188.40. Estimated cattle slaughter by 14,000 head was down 1,000 on the week and 1,000 in the year. The all southern Minnesota direct barrels and gilts closed $1.04 lower with a weighted average of 66.95. The Western Corn Belt was 111 lower at 66.88. National direct business was down 113 at 66.73. Butcher hogs at the Midwest cash markets were steady at 46. Pork was down 77 cents, 86.41. Friday's hog slaughter was an estimated 426,000 head, 6,000 more than a week ago and up 4,000 from a year ago. Follow us on Twitter at Brownfield, John Perkins, Brownfield.
Well, Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA, the sports capital of the upper Midwest, is back for a game day goal and game day goal back. Larry Fitzgerald, Eric Nelson back. There's not another win. Big up football. Here we are, reunited in spacious studios in the downtown for panoramic view of the skyline. There's Jonathan Rowe on the other side of the glass. No Kansas City crowd. No Chase jersey. Is he coming up?
No. I'm not going to do that. He's not going to do that. He's still not as well as he's going to.
Well, we got quite the rock conference in there. Royal sitting there right middle of the storm. Now they're four. I would have to say, based on what we saw a year ago, 59 wins, 100 losses. It's one of the more remarkable turnaround stories here in 2017. In spite of the Federation's efforts to deplete the club of talent a few weeks ago and grab a right flag, here come the Twins. They legitimately have a chance to make the play. They got a lot of players, but they found a lot of players on this draft. They got about 50 guys.
When you count guys that have been cut,
That are totally shut, that have been trained, that have played this guy, right now for an injury, but they have their foundation.
you know, start to third, short, something, first base. You know, you got, Joe Mauer, the guy's hitting 285, 290. You know, you've got Byron Buxton playing. I mean, for a guy to be hitting 240 that started at like 188, that means he's had to hit over 300.
But the thing about it, what we're doing, the Delta now on the defensive net, and, they had to deal with some things, but you got to give it to them credit for this. They're still in this thing, and they're very much in it. Now, the building grants are in place. I'm a huge Brian Dozier guy, even though Pump Out Mountain and the Twins came on the back matches of Atlanta last weekend, which ironically was sometimes the Brian and Andy McPhail got inducted into the Twins Hall of Fame. So they haven't moved Brian Dozier. They haven't, traded him, thankfully. You brought up Buxton. I remember at one point of the season he was hitting 077. I looked at the big video board that said 077. I said, oh my goodness, thank goodness he can field. But the guy really has worked hard at it. I think they've gotten the loop out of his swing. And some rookie at the inside of the park home run last Friday. He had a stand-up triple on Saturday. I would take Brian Buxton in the 100-meter sprint over any right out the Minnesota Vikings. He has not incredible. The Vikings
going to be even more valuable to him. Because if you go to watch a Twins game and you watch baseball and you have that keen eye, you see the throws he makes. On a nightly basis, he might throw in center field 3-4 times, but other teams, they don't make those plays in center field. Those balls drop to the fingers or they hurt the button.
I remember when Ben Stiller was talking about Aaron Maddox wants the old outfielder for the pickup. Covered by Robert, the other third is covered by Gary Maddox. I think when the last man 2017, two-thirds of the road is covered by Gary Maddox, and the other third is well.
I'd love to see him get 30 steals. You know, that's not 120 like, Lou Brock and back in the day, Ricky Henderson.
That's like 30 in a month, but
30 that's a big number for steals.
yeah, well, I get and I love seeing the process. So let's get to the first thing of the team to the center field. They went behind it. They went with Taylor there. They went with Taylor there. Went through and right. They went with Taylor. They had
Now, you mentioned 11 for the first one. Who would have thrown it? In return of
an ownership.
Make a decision at some point in time on all those guys. Who am I thinking? Who am I looking for? Something for
Combination, but also all the guys is up for contract renewal. The Twins offered 3 years at $45 million. That's a pretty good offer. $15 million a year. So he wanted 5. He wanted more stability, security. And the Twins wouldn't do that. They thought he'd be an old man at some point. Didn't look to see that this guy's in shape. He takes care of himself. Apparently they did not. The Yankees went coming to the main or side number for right around 7 and they threw it out of the water, but not the socks off, and he had to. So that's where I put the initial plan. That's all. They only dropped in a 3-year offer. After that, I pinned the Span and Revere stuff on Terry Ryan. Now, had he gotten rid of one of those guys, I get it. You need pitching. You have 2 guys in center field who are pretty good. They're comparable. But remember, that was the winter where he got rid of both of them. And what did we get back? Vance Worley and Alex Meyer, very little in return. They did not have patience with Carlos Gomez. I think what happened there is he was a raw kid out of Latin America,
right.
and the Twins weren't quite sure how to handle him. I remember talking to Dave Nelson, who's now with the Brewers. I said, what'd you guys do with Carlos that the Twins did? And he said, well, we were patient. We waited him out, and he learned how to play the game. And Aaron Hicks, that's another mistake. Aaron Hicks, when healthy, has done pretty well for the New York Yankees.
So the Twins are in the chase. But do you remember Big Papi? All right, I don't want to bring up all the mistakes the Twins have made, but there you have it.
Yes, they have made quite a few. But they are in the chase, and Paul Molitor might be manager of the year, even though his bosses, Falvey and Levine, won't give him an endorsement into 2018. Who knows what's going on here? They got rid of Kinsler. They got rid of Garcia after 1 win. I mean, my stance is, how good would the Twins be if this team was truly committed to winning from the top to the bottom? I'm talking about ownership. If you had Garcia for the stretch run, he might get you 4 or 5 wins. How many saves would pick up? And if they lose the playoff wild card thing by a game or 2, you can point right at that front office, in my opinion.
Well, they lose a game the other night. Paul Molitor takes out Irvin Santana in a 3-2 game. In the 6th inning, he had only thrown 91 pitches, allowed just 3 hits, had struck out 8 White Sox. And for me, how do you let Kyle Gibson go 7 innings the night before? You show him support even though he had the bases loaded the first couple of innings of the game, and then you give Irvin Santana the quick hook after 6 innings with that bullpen. Sox win.
And it was costly because the bullpen let them down. Good point. All right, much more coming up, including a visit with Bob Nightingale, the outstanding plugged-in columnist for USA Today. Boy, nobody knows more about MLB than Bob. We'll get to him later in the show. We are Game Day Gold and GameDayGold.com.
Hi, folks. This is David from Witt's Piggly Wiggly in Oconto Falls. Are you sick of rising gas prices? Well, at Witt's, we have a solution. When you purchase qualified groceries with blue shelf stickers, and there's hundreds throughout our store, you build up discounts for 15 gallons of gas on your club card. Then, when you fill up at our Pig Stop pumps, just scan your card and watch the gas price drop. So scan your card, shop the blue stickers, and save money on gas at the Pig in Oconto Falls.
It's me, the M, the A, C, the K, sounding like a French pimp from back in the day. I take her to Ponderay and I watch her skate. I mean water ski, ollie, oxen free. I'm perusing down Fourth and they watching me. I do a headstand and eagle lands on my seat. Well, hello.
Game Day Gold, GameDayGold.com. We chug along for yet another week. Larry Fitzgerald, Eric Nelson with you. Thanks so much for tuning us in. Don't forget about the website, GameDayGold.com. All sorts of great blogs, photos. You can hear the podcast of this show, previous weeks. GameDayGold.com. Larry, the Twins are doing so well. We just did an entire segment to open the show. It's late August, almost September, and we did not mention the Minnesota Vikings. So kudos to the Twins for garnering some headlines.
Well, that's because the Vikings lost. They played Seattle. They lost 20-13 and didn't make a real good showing of themselves. And I was really, honestly, surprised at a couple of things that I saw in the game. It's particularly on the defensive side of the ball, the inability to stop the run. And, I know Seattle played, a lot of their starters for the entire first half, but there's probably more pressure on the Vikings this season than any season that I can remember since Dennis Green was here. When you know you've got Super Bowl 52 in your house and you've got a football team that you believe is pretty good and you've thrown $100 million at three guys in terms of guaranteed money on your defense, and you have an offense that's, you believe that, North Turner's gone, that you've got Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray, these new additions in the backfield, and Adrian who, we're going to be fine. There's a lot of pressure on this Viking football team.
I agree. And I think you and I have touched on it in previous weeks, but you go back to 2001, the final year of Dennis Green. Since then, 5 playoff trips for the franchise in roughly a 15-year span. So that's about once every 3 years. Mike Tice had one. Brad Childress had a couple. He went to the NFC title game in 2010. They got knocked out by New Orleans in overtime. Leslie Frazier had one playoff appearance, and Mike Zimmer has one on his resume. So they need to get back to where they used to be, and that's a consistent playoff team that's in the mix, that's talked about as a Super Bowl team. And I don't know what will happen. I do know this, though. That game in Seattle, it was a humdrum preseason game, but Blair Walsh made it interesting. Boy, he was motivated. Couple of 52-yard kicks, taunting the Vikings sideline. Is preseason the time for that, Larry? Because, hey, I'm glad Walsh has his mojo back and all that, and he appears to be happy in Seattle. But start doing that when you win regular season games or playoff games. That's my take.
Well, you know what? I keep reminding you, those games, they may be preseason, and I know you talked about being able to pick up a ticket here and there for $8 and $10 and all that stuff, but somebody's paying for those tickets. But the bottom line, for him, that had to be really big, because the way the Vikings let him go, the way he battled that season, the ultimate playoff kick miss against Seattle, and then to have a job with Seattle, I think it was really big for him. I heard the Vikings were taunting him also.
Yeah, well, I think that's what he said. That was a response to what he heard from the Minnesota Vikings. But and look, I know the Seahawks are happy to have him, and there's no question Blair Walsh is a talented field goal kicker, kickoff guy, etc. Has he gotten over the yips, so to speak? It appears that he has, but again, the proof's in the pudding. It's got to happen in the regular season. You've got to make those kicks when the chips are down. So we'll see. Vikings and Seahawks, that one's in the rearview mirror. Vikings and 49ers is Sunday night at the Glass House. NBC coming to town.
That's correct.
Your good friend Al Michaels.
Yeah, all the guys are coming to town. I always get a little fun with the NBC folks. They're good friends, many of them. Also, our former broadcast partner, Mike Croak, always good to visit with him. But one thing I'm concerned about, again, is can this football team match and take the mantle that they're going to have to carry, because it's going to be rough on them if they can't sustain the will to go into a season knowing what the expectations are for them.
Well, the expectations in my eyes are simple. You got to get to the postseason. And really, you got to make some hay in the postseason. You got to win some games. Ultimately, you want to win a Super Bowl. This franchise has never done that, so they're still chasing that first ever Lombardi Trophy. And I think that
They got to be more like the Packers. Was that what you're saying?
Viking fans hate to hear that, but that's the reality of it.
I mean, they're
right?
in the playoffs every year.
They are, and what do they have? 4 Super Bowl titles, 13 world titles. They kind of set that bar pretty high. Now, most coaches will break a 16-game regular season into 4-game quadrants. You'll go 4, 4, 4, 4. It's kind of how you do your grades, quarterlies, if you will. I think the first 2 games of the first 4 are interesting for the Vikings because you have the Monday night opener on 9/11 against New Orleans and Adrian Peterson. So that'll generate a lot of attention. But then you have the short week going to Pittsburgh. So it's incumbent on
Levy
this
and Bell.
team, right, to beat New Orleans because they're not going to be favored at Heinz Field. Then they come back for Tampa Bay and Detroit. 3 of their first 4 are at your favorite venue, the Glass House. So they need another fast start, but we saw a fast start a year ago that ended up in a fade.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it, and so far, I have not decided how really good they are. I do recognize they got a lot of talent, though. The bottom line, though, is can they punch the buttons that need to be punched? And for me, I haven't seen anything out of Murray yet, although he should get some work this week, I'm told. And we have seen a lot out of Cook, which is a good thing, but I'm still concerned. He's still a rookie, He's a guy that can, defenses can disguise things in a way where they send something at you in a game that means everything, and he's got max protection, and he puts his head down, and, Bradford gets killed.
Yeah, and I think we're going to finally see the offensive line intact on Sunday against the 49ers. Reef and Boone and some of those guys have been banged up. My goodness, they have to get that line fixed, or it's going to be another long season for the offense. So.
Are you going to ask Shanahan after the game, what was he thinking with that 25-point lead against the Patriots in the Super Bowl? I know you've been dying to ask him that.
Yeah, I'll be the guy. I'll run to him and see what he has to say. What was it, a colossal comeback or a colossal collapse? Probably a little bit of both in that Super Bowl, Patriots-Falcons. Don't go away. We have a lot more coming up. We are Game Day Gold and GameDayGold.com.
Hello, Game Day Gold fans. Thomas Tuttle here with T-Bird on the Cliffs down in Negril, Jamaica. One of the most beautiful spots on the Caribbean. Beautiful 85 degrees and sunny most every day. Jamaican-style comfort at T-Bird on the Cliffs. Your cottage is waiting for you in Negril, Jamaica. Check us out on the website at T-Bird on the Cliffs.
Mostly clear skies tonight, though we will see some areas of fog developing. Look for a low of 47 degrees with light and variable winds. Saturday, sunny skies. A couple of stray showers popping up late in the afternoon, but most of the area stays dry with a high temperature of 68. A better chance of showers on Sunday. A few rumbles of thunder as well with a high temperature of 67. Monday, we'll see a couple of showers with a high of 72. Tuesday, partly sunny skies with a high temperature of 76. I'm meteorologist Ray Miller for WOCO Radio.
When the lights come on, everybody screaming, lighters in the sky, yeah, everybody singing, every word to every song of the girl they're taking home tonight. When the lights come on, everybody's feeling.
Game Day Gold, GameDayGold.com. Larry and Eric with you. Glad you're along for the ride. J-Lo, Jonathan Lowe on the other side of the glass. As we continue to slice and dice the always busy, always topical, always cluttered Twin Cities sports scene. Don't forget Bob Nightingale, USA Today, will join us in a few minutes. We'll talk Major League Baseball. Larry, are you pumped up? College football season begins this weekend, and in some cases, Rice and Stanford down in Sydney, Australia.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're playing that game there.
I still have a problem with that. I don't understand how the NCAA can sell that, first of all, and then two, how do you deal with each roster's probably got 60, 70 players on it, and You're going to tell me those players aren't going to commit some kind of violation down there? Doing something that normally would be, penalized if were they here in the United States? I think so. I mean, so why is this group, why are these two teams being given an opportunity to do something that all the other kids don't get an opportunity to do? And that's the whole purpose behind the NCAA and the issues that they face all the time when they slam coaches, administrators with violations.
Well, they're a hypocritical organization, the NCAA, and they really have been for decades. And they kind of do what they do. I don't agree with a lot of it. I know you don't. Our local NCAA D1 team, the Minnesota Gophers, now they'll open up against Buffalo on Thursday night at TCF Bank Stadium.
Next Thursday, huh?
The P.J. Fleck era will begin. Now, you and I may have a conundrum there. First of all, the White Sox play the Twins in the day at trendy Target Field. Then you have a Gopher game at night, a Viking game at night, high school football starts, and the State Fair's going on. Now, where are you going to be? Where are we going to do this show next
I won't be at the State Fair, I can tell you that.
That makes two of us.
And that's going to be an interesting scenario.
I don't think we're going to do the show at the White Sox-Twins game.
I doubt it.
Okay.
I doubt it. Have the Sox been eliminated?
Yes. They waved a white flag a month ago.
Okay. Even though they gave the Twins some trouble earlier in the week.
They did. They swept Houston a couple of weeks ago. They're rising to the challenge when they're playing with house money. Well, so are you going to be at the final counterfeit football game of the year, the Vikings and Dolphins?
I still haven't decided, Eric. I really haven't.
Or are you going to go see P.J. Fleck row the boat?
You know what? I got to, I'm not going to be in town Sunday, but I don't know if Dr. Harry Edwards is going to be here. He says that the NFL will have a problem if Colin Kaepernick is not signed. What do you think about that? What kind of problem would that be?
Some backlash. Some people that won't watch.
1,000 people showed up at the protest.
There's a lot of people that believe he's being
New York City.
Right. I mean, it's out there.
Park Avenue.
Now, on the flip side, let me just play devil's advocate. Michael Bennett, Marshawn Lynch, a number of Cleveland Browns players.
20. Not a couple. 20.
Right. So almost probably a third of your current roster not standing
during the national anthem. And that was a choice.
They still have jobs. So the Kaepernick thing, I've said from day one, I think he's getting blackballed. I think he belongs on somebody's roster. Now, how good is he? Maybe he's not as good as he was a few years ago when they went to the Super Bowl, San Francisco and Baltimore, but I believe there's a spot for him. But I have heard people say, such as Warren Moon, that he needs the right system, that's only part of it. And then Shady McCoy, he's African-American, came out this week and said, well, he's not worth the distraction because he's not good enough right now. So, again, those are opinions. You don't have to agree. But so it's a little bit of a sticky wicket.
I'm a big fan of McCoy. I like him. I've interviewed him. But he could have stayed away from that, in my view. Because to me, that's throwing shade on somebody.
Well, he is shady.
Well, there you go.
He's a shady guy. But I don't think the issue's going away. And you know what, though? Colin Kaepernick has brought a lot of attention to this. And I think it's something that we need to shed light on. And what's interesting to me, Larry, is it's only happening in the NFL. We don't see it at MLB games. Haven't seen it in the NBA, which is predominantly African-American. We certainly haven't seen it in the NHL or MLS that I know of. Why is the NFL where it happens?
Let me answer this by saying, when did it all start? When and who decided at sporting events, games? Because I've gone to many concerts, seen Beyonce, I've seen Jay-Z, you name it, And I've never, before the concert, had to stand with my hand over my heart and listen to the national anthem. But you go to a Major League Baseball game, football game, hockey, you name it, that's how it starts. When was it decided that this is the way it's going to be done?
I don't know the answer to that, but like you, I've seen a ton of events in my life.
And some people are in the bathroom.
Been done.
Some people are coming in. some people, you know,
Well,
so
there's
they don't throw those people out.
There's a cohort of ours. I'll leave his name out of it. You know him very well.
All right, yeah.
He doesn't stand, and he's in the media. He doesn't stand.
Mm-hmm.
It's his choice.
Right.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's his choice. But people
until Colin Kaepernick, he was the he had more heat on him than anybody else.
He did. I don't know, man. We are polarized right now, and that's all I can say in the divided states of America. I can remember being a kid going to a Dodger game, sitting in the upper deck. They were playing the Cubs, and all of a sudden, two fans ran on the into the outfield at Dodger Stadium. They took an American flag, and they were going to light it on fire, and Rick Monday ran up and scooped it and became a hero for life.
Good old Rick Monday,
Yeah.
former Chicago Cub.
Yeah, playing for the Cubs at the time, and now a Dodger broadcaster.
Yes.
So, a lot to chew on, and I don't know. We don't have answers for all of this, but we do know this: Bob Nightingale's in the on deck circle, and he's the outstanding MLB columnist for USA Today. So we'll talk to him about a number of baseball-related issues.
And Eric is going to pick the winner of the Floyd Mayweather-Conor McGregor fight.
And I'm going to defend Tracy Claeys later in the show as well. We are Game Day Gold and GameDayGold.com.
Want that new home? You can own it. NEW Credit Union has several mortgage options to choose from. Along with our 5- and 7-year balloon and 10-year fixed terms, NEW Credit Union now offers a 15-year fixed term. Find out how to get pre-approved for your home loan. Ask one of our knowledgeable mortgage specialists. Call 800-924-1250 today. That's 800-924-1250. Offices in Oconto Falls, Surrey, and Oconto. NEW Credit Union is an equal housing opportunity lender, serving all who live or work in Brown, Marinette, Shawano, and Oconto counties. Federally insured by the NCUA. All loans subject to approval. Visit www.newcu.org for more details. Choose your home. At NEW Credit Union, we can help you own it.
Game Day Gold, GameDayGold.com. We roll on for yet another week. Larry Fitzgerald, Eric Nelson with you. Glad you've tuned us in and joining us now from the gateway city of St. Louis, one of the great baseball communities in all of Major League Baseball, St. Louis, Missouri. Bob Nightingale covering the Cardinals the last few days. And, Bob, thanks so much for your time. And I know on Saturday it's going to be a special day down there in St. Louis. Mark McGwire goes into the Cardinals Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he only played for the Cardinals for 4.5 years, but he still inducted him in the or elected him to the Hall of Fame. And it's interesting. He's the only guy ever on the Hall of Fame ballot who's ever confessed to steroid use. So if he never confessed, the question is whether he'd be in or not. We saw Piazza got in, a year ago, Bagwell and Pudge Rodriguez this year. So, he might have hurt his chances, or severely hurt his chances, by actually passing up where nobody else ever has.
So integrity is good for some things, but for others, it won't get you in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you're right, Larry. Nobody has ever fessed up. Everybody's kind of lied about it or been quiet about it. This guy came public. We all knew he was on it. We know other guys were on it too. But he's the only guy who said, you know what, let me come clean. I'm sorry for what I did.
Now, Major League Baseball this year has had this avalanche of home runs. What's your theory on it? Is it as simple as tightening the laces on a ball? It's by leaps and bounds more home runs than we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I think the combination, Larry, where the combination of the baseball and guys change their swing, where everybody's now just kind of focusing for the uppercut and trying to get home runs. But the ball is definitely different. We're seeing guys going off the field now. We're seeing guys break their bats and hit home runs. So I think baseball realizes, hey, we need more offense. We need more home runs. Let's do something about it.
Bob, how should we look at Mark McGwire? I mean, you rewind Major League Baseball trying to recover from a crippling strike, and a lot of things had gone on. And then you have the home run race, actually 98, between he and Sammy Sosa. That seemed to electrify the fan base that follows baseball, and it garnered a lot of positive attention. As we look back, I think we all knew that there was hokey-pokey going on. But how do we view Mark McGwire?
Yeah, I mean, it was the most emotional night I've ever seen in a ballpark. It was a fascinating night. McGwire hitting a home run, raising his kid above home plate, hugging the Maris family. Yeah, it was electrifying. But, hey, we all knew something was going on. But my thing is, I'll be honest about this, I'd never vote for McGwire Hall of Fame. Just a 260-some batting average and the 1,600 hits, bother me. Now, I voted for Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens every single year, same with Sammy Sosa. But my thing is, if we're going to let Mike Piazza get in the Hall of Fame, Pudge Rodriguez and Jeff Bagwell in, how in the world are we going to keep out the two greatest players in the steroid era? And that was Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. It just makes no sense to me. I think they get in eventually. I really do. And something's wrong with the Hall of Fame if those guys aren't in.
And some guy named Sammy Sosa, he's on the outside also.
Right, yeah. I vote for him every year too, Larry. And, hey, Barry Bonds is the greatest player I've ever seen.
You're right.
And a lot of people said that. Clemens was one of the greatest right-handed pitchers anybody's ever seen.
Right.
And why are you going to keep those guys out and let, we'll go ahead and let guys who were not even the same class just because they weren't caught smoking guns in steroid era, no matter what we knew.
Bob Nightingale, our guest, he's the outstanding MLB columnist for USA Today. He's in St. Louis this weekend. And, Bob, what does it say about Major League Baseball that one of your greatest pitchers of all time in Clemens, maybe your greatest player of all time, certainly the home run king in Barry Bonds, and the hit king, no matter what you think of him, he is the hit king, Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame. So you have three Mount Rushmore guys not in Cooperstown. That just seems odd to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a museum. It's not a church. It's a museum. And, the one thing you're right about, Eric, is with the Pete Rose. The one thing I will say is, going way back is when I covered baseball beforehand, there was always no gambling in the clubhouse. You saw signs everywhere. And Pete gambled. He admits to that. There was never a sign that no steroid use or anything like that. That's why he was so prevalent throughout baseball. So I can see Pete not being in the Hall of Fame. I think Pete gets in, not while he's alive, but I really believe that Bonds and Clemens belong. I do believe they get in there before their 10 years of eligibility are up.
The Los Angeles Dodgers have certainly been the story of Major League Baseball this year, and talk about what they're doing, how they're doing it. I mean, it's amazing. I don't think they've clinched a playoff spot, but they got to be close.
Yeah, they're just so deep, Larry. I mean, they're going to get in, obviously. We'll see whether they win 115 or 116 games, try to go for the record. They don't care about that. I mean, nobody remembers that the Mariners were the same total. They didn't get past the first round. So they got to get the World Series. If they don't get the World Series, the season is a complete disaster.
Right.
Very, very deep team. We'll see. I mean, the players are a different animal. I mean, when the Giants won 3 World Series since 2010, they weren't the best team. They were the best postseason team, but they certainly weren't the best team in baseball.
Yeah, and it's funny because to me, the L.A. Dodgers are the Golden State Warriors of MLB right now. They're a super team. They're having a juggernaut regular season. We kind of knew Golden State at the minimum was going to the NBA Finals and probably was going to win it. They did. With the Dodgers and the way the baseball playoffs go, I can't make that guarantee.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right, Eric. I mean, it's not a thing where you got, Koufax and Drysdale going games 1 and 2. You got Kershaw and whoever, Darvish or Wood, going 1 and 2. When Kershaw's had a checkered record in the postseason. So postseason is just a different animal. I mean, you like their chances, but hey, with the Washington Nationals and Dusty Baker as the manager, when you got Scherzer and Strasburg and Gio Gonzalez, I'll take those 3 guys over just about anybody in baseball.
All right, stick around, Bob. We'll take a quick break. More coming up. Bob Nightingale, MLB columnist with USA Today on Game Day Gold and GameDayGold.com.
We all want to be self-sufficient, whether it's fixing projects at home, whether it's changing the oil on the car, or maybe even keeping your checkbook balanced. But when it comes to income taxes, trust me, you don't want to do it yourself. You don't want to do it with someone that just does it 3 months a year as a little sideline job. You need to work with a proactive 24/7 CPA firm that can actually get you results and keep more money in your pocket. Pick up the phone today, 715-735-0583.
I got the eye of the tiger, a fire, dancing through the fire, 'cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar.
And we're back here on Game Day Gold, GameDayGold.com. Larry and Eric with you. We continue our visit with Bob Nightingale from USA Today. Bob, last week the St. Paul Saints honored Roy Campanella, who 69 years ago broke the color barrier in the Old American Association right here in the Twin Cities with St. Paul. And it was a great event. It was a milestone event. And he wasn't in the Twin Cities long because he got called up to Brooklyn quickly and had a Hall of Fame career. But I think it's another situation where you have to give Branch Rickey credit for having the vision. He had integrated Major League Baseball, about a year before with Jackie Robinson, and he saw, hey, Roy Campanella might be another guy that we can fast track to the majors.
No, you're absolutely right, Eric. I mean, what Campanella meant, what Jackie Robinson meant, I mean, they could have had, 10 or 12 African Americans on that team. But Campanella is, I used to cover the Dodgers. He's just so legendary in L.A. What he meant to everybody. Fabulous person. Just like Jackie Robinson. Hey, I mean, Jackie Robinson wasn't the best player in the Negro Leagues. I mean, close. But he was a guy who could handle it. There were much better players than Jackie. But yeah, just a fabulous guy. And it's cool. It's still cool going to Dodger Stadium and seeing Don Newcomb. I mean, Don Newcomb is still an icon, still live there. It's a pleasure, walking that stadium and seeing him on the field.
And I can remember, too, Bob, when I used to cover the Dodgers when I lived in Southern California, you would go to Dodger Stadium, and when Roy Campanella was around, you'd see him in the wheelchair at the ballpark. And he had the tragic accident. Never played in L.A., but he followed the team from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. As you said, he was really iconic in two cities.
Yeah, and I think that's what people forget. People talk about, the Dodgers, got Jackie Robinson. No, it's the Brooklyn Dodgers. Roy Campanella. No, it's the Brooklyn Dodgers. People forget that. I did a story a couple of weeks ago with Jared Reinsdorf, and he's still upset that the Brooklyn Dodgers are allowed to leave to go to L.A. It hasn't been the same. And, I think it's, in many respects, the Dodgers live off Jackie Robinson and Roy Campanella, and everything else. They still have, now they finally have a black, manager in Dave Roberts. They never had a black GM or scouting director or farm director, but they've always lived out the legacy. I think it would be cool to see a franchise back in Brooklyn.
What is your view on what's going to happen with the owner of the Red Sox, Mr. Yawkey?
Yeah, that's interesting. I read a story, Larry, where the biographer said, don't see racist things. That'd be racist for him, for him not to have a black player until 1959. But then where do you stop? I mean, different awards. With the Writers Award, it's the Spink Award, and Spink worked for the Sporting News, and Spink was against integration of baseball. So why in the world are we naming a name after him? So I think you go on and on. But I find that fascinating, particularly in that city. In that city, I was there when Adam Jones. When I talked to him after the game in late April, when he said, hey, I'm hearing racial slurs in the stands, I write the story, and people go nuts. They can't believe it's still happening. Hey, it still happens every city.
Right.
But people in Boston were acting like, it can't still be happening. Yeah, it's still happening. So, yeah, I'd be interested to see what happens with that. I'm not sure you can change the name of Yawkey Way. I mean, if he wants to, he can. But I think if you do that, you better look at a whole lot of other places, a whole lot of different awards.
Even Minnesota, you got to go back and look at Calvin Griffith, right?
Oh, absolutely. people love Calvin Griffith. It's like the old school writers. It's like, wait a minute now. The stuff that was going on, the stuff you hear, the stuff you heard with the Dodgers, like I said, they live off Jackie Robinson. Hey, why were you hiring black GMs or presidents or things like that? So I think a lot of times these franchises are living off one player. So I'm not sure that's the right answer. And but I do applaud the Red Sox ownership as far as looking into it. But they'll look into it. You better have a whole lot of other places look into it, whether it's the broadcasting committee, the journalism committee with the Speaker Award. And that stuff is going on everywhere.
Well, and I read that same article, Bob, last weekend in the Boston Globe, and the biographer, made a point to talk to Pumpsy Green, the first black Boston Red Sox player, and then Reggie Smith later on. Pumpsy Green defended Tom Yawkey, as did Reggie Smith. I had a different takeaway. My takeaway wasn't necessarily that Tom Yawkey was this raging Archie Bunker running a team. It was maybe he just was behind the times. I'm not trying to defend him, but I didn't come away after reading it that thinking, well, do we change everything, as you just said? I mean, do we take Ty Cobb out of the Hall of Fame? He was a known racist.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, Eric, but a lot of times those guys will say that, he's not going to say racial slurs from Pumpsy Green or some of these guys, but he may be saying the country club. Remember talking, Dusty Baker with the Dodgers and some of the stuff he used to hear in Vero Beach. And the Dodgers got the free pass because of Jackie Robinson. So, just the fact that it took 1959 to integrate, it's like, okay, there's a problem here. You may say something public, and maybe you're not saying stuff to Pumpsy Green, but you're saying to all your buddies behind closed doors. I think that goes on so much. It's sickening how often that goes on.
The American League won the All-Star game this year, but would it surprise you if an American League team was able to win the World Series?
No, I mean, Larry, the American League is so much better than the National League. It's like, you see these scouts, they come in and see these pitchers. They say, well, he can pitch in the National League, but he's not going to pitch in the American League. It's just a different animal. Mm-hmm. I mean, the American League lamps are so much better. I remember talking to John Lackey when he was with the last year with the St. Louis Cardinals. I said, John, what are you going to pitch next year? He goes, I don't know what club I'm going to pitch for. I know what league I'm pitching for.
Wow.
It's so much, just so much easier. I mean, it's not just the Twins and the Central, but particularly those teams in the AL East.
Hey, Bob, great stuff as always. Enjoy your weekend down there in the Gateway City. St. Louis, certainly one of the top baseball cities in North America.
Sure, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Very good. Bob Nightingale, catch his stuff in USA Today or at usatoday.com. We are Game Day Gold and GameDayGold.com.
Minnesota is the land of 10,000 lakes, the land of sky blue waters. One of those iconic lakes is Minnetonka. And now you can read about Lake Minnetonka and its rich history in a book titled The Big Water. Frederick L. Johnson and Game Day Gold's own Tom Tuttle have pieced together a fabulous read that chronicles the colorful past of a lake that is a magnet for tourists and locals alike. This is a one-of-a-kind book and would be a perfect gift to get your copy of The Big Water. Go to ThomasUTuttle.com or GameDayGold.com.
Everybody get down like that. Everybody get down like that. If you like it, then make it clap. If you like it, then make it clap. Turn it up, break loose, get loud. We are young, don't tell us how. We should go on living now. Break the rules, let's tear it down.
And we're back. Game Day Gold, GameDayGold.com. Final segment of this week's show. My, oh my, it all goes by at warp speed because we're having so much fun. Gophers and Buffalo, as we mentioned, open up on Thursday night.
Boy, I'm excited about that
Stadium. Plenty of tickets available.
PJ Fleck.
Tracy Clays had articles in the St. Paul Pioneer Press, Minneapolis Star Tribune this week, basically defending his regime here.
Does he have a job?
I don't think he does right now. But I'll say this. I think Tracy Clay's got a raw deal.
I agree.
I think he was a scapegoat. I don't think he ran a rogue program. As he pointed out in his articles, the cumulative GPA was 3.03. That's pretty good. I don't think Jerry Kill ran a rogue program.
No.
And here's the other thing about Tracy Clays, and I'm glad he wrote it. The Gophers have had 2 seasons of 9 wins or more since 1905, and he had one of them. And he won his first 2 bowl games. No Gopher coach has ever done that. The problem at the University of Minnesota, and I don't want people to think I'm on an anti-PJ Fleck rant. I'm not. PJ had nothing to do with this. He took a job that was open. I don't blame him. But weak leadership. It starts at the top. And that president over there, Eric Kaler.
Thank you.
It's amazing to me he's still there. They have weak leadership. And I don't know about the AD Mark Coyle. He hasn't proven anything to me yet.
I'm trying to get Conor McGregor to let Kaler get into the ring for him. So that Floyd Mayweather can take him out.
Wow. That's pretty harsh. I'd settle for a resignation, but I don't think that's happening.
Who do you like in the fight? Conor McGregor, UFC. This is the first time we've had one of these. You know, Floyd Mayweather Jr. hadn't fought in 2 years. He was retired. Guy's made all this money. He continues to be kind of the poster boy for domestic abuse. But he's still 49-0. And he's clearly the favorite in a fight that's scheduled to go 12 rounds. How does Conor McGregor win this fight?
I love the USA. People will fork out big bucks to go watch Floyd Mayweather, as you said.
Come on, you're going to get 3 of your friends to put up $100 so you can watch the fight.
For domestic abuse. That's okay, but we can't let Colin Kaepernick even be a backup in the NFL. But I digress. I'll go with Mayweather. I'm simply playing the odds here. Conor McGregor, it's not boxing. It's MMA, UFC, whatever you want to call it. I just hope for the people that pay all that money that it lasts for a while. That I hope it's not like the solar eclipse where people drive 500 miles to Missouri and then it's cloudy and they can't see the eclipse.
Oh, boy, that was too bad. There were some places where you could see it. And you talk about taking advantage of the eclipse. Beyonce even posted on her account a couple of photos of her behind, showing a real solar eclipse, if you know what I'm saying.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the name of that website? Wow.
So I said, wow, that tells you there are people out there that are taking advantage of every possible opportunity, even people wealthy like she is, who she just had delivered twins,
Well, Carbondale, Illinois, just by stroke of cosmic good fortune, was basically ground zero for the solar eclipse, and it will be again in 2024 when we have another one. Carbondale, Illinois was one of the go-to spots. I know there were other places. Oregon was certainly a destination spot. I read the other day in the Denver Post, Wyoming is right north of Colorado. Wyoming was a popular spot for the eclipse. Wyoming had the most people in the state ever. And once the eclipse was over, 600,000 people left Wyoming, and they had an epic traffic jam.
Wow.
So that's what happened with the solar eclipse.
Hey, Andrew Wiggins, before I get to Andrew Wiggins, he's not going anywhere, by the way, Eric. Did you hear Kyrie Irving got traded to the Boston Celtics?
I did. It's a blockbuster.
What's this burning jersey stuff, man? To me, that is the ultimate insult to arrogance. Why do you burn a jersey?
Well, first of all, it's stupidity. They cost a ton of money. Who would burn something that's worth $100 that you paid for? Second of all, I agree with LeBron on Twitterverse. He ripped it. He says, why are you burning Isaiah Thomas's jersey? This was a trade. He didn't leave. They dealt him. And then he talked about Brandon Hayward leaving Utah to sign with Boston. He worked the system. He paid his dues. He saw a better opportunity for himself and his family. I'm with you. It's silly. It's foolish. And some fans just don't get it.
Man. Andrew Wiggins, speaking of not getting it.
Or Gordon Hayward, my bad.
He signs, supposedly he either has signed or will sign a $148 million extension to stay with the Timberwolves. And Bill Duffy, his agent, he gassed him. What was he looking for, 149 or what? I mean, why? I don't get that.
So he got rid of Bill, huh?
Yeah.
The former Gopher?
Bill, yeah.
Kevin McHale's old roommate.
Duffy.
Yeah.
A great guy.
Yeah.
Legendary agent.
Wow.
He's represented many NBA stars for a long, long time.
I don't know. but I think if the Wolves were going to get Kyrie Irving, Andrew Wiggins would have been gone, but that's not going to happen now. So they have the pieces pretty much in place over there at the renovated Target Center.
You think the NBA will catch or find Magic Johnson on, they're doing a probe into tampering because they believe he had conversations with Paul George that you cannot have if you're in the position that he's in with the Lakers.
Well, they're looking into it. I don't know what happened. Paul George, Indiana didn't get much back from Oklahoma City. I think it was a panic move. The Pacers realized we got to get something or the guy's going to walk away in a year. I do know this. And, of course, David Stern is no longer the commissioner. It's Adam Silver, your good friend. But when Glenn Taylor and Kevin McHale had some shenanigans to get Joe Smith here, the association came down hard on the Wolves and crippled the team. I mean, McHale and Taylor went away for a while, and they lost a lot of draft choices. And that team, it took a long time to recover. A long time.
This fall, we're looking for great things out of the Timberwolves. The NBA season is longer, even though they're not playing any more games. They're starting it earlier. My question is, will the Timberwolves come out with the kind of fire that we're expecting them to come out with?
Well, they better. They better. And I expect them to. I think Jimmy Butler will be a tone setter, so we shall see. We got to go. Let's FedEx out those thank yous. One goes to Bob Nightingale, USA Today, Tom Tuttle, J-Lo, Jonathan Lowe. For Larry Fitzgerald, I'm Eric Nelson saying so long. We are Game Day Gold and GameDayGold.com.